right. We're here. Hello. We're back and we're back at it. Ash, good to see you. Good to have you.
Jenna, it is always the best day when it includes you. So I'm so happy
Oh,
to be back and talking.
you're so sweet. Well, first of all, this is the first time that we've officially connected in a tonal talk since the big announcement of your expecting baby that's coming. So, first of all, congratulations. We're all so thrilled for you. How are you doing?
I'm great. Listen, it's so great to be back. It's also really great for everyone to know. And you get this more than anyone as well. Like as a mom, those first few weeks, you just live in this bubble of like, I feel terrible. Things are weird. I have questions, but yet you don't tell anybody and you don't share. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. How do I hide
um,
this but still
yeah. So
function?
I will say, like, I wasn't nervous at all to tell the community, but it has been such an overwhelming, like, floodgate of love and support. And so, if I didn't love this community before, it's like they just topped it off. So I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to be like filming. We have so many things that we're doing.
So much
Really,
awesome, awesome stuff.
really, really love that like I get to still like stay in training, not just doing the prenatal stuff, but like I'm still training with all of y'all over the next few months. So that's
And
what I'm excited.
that's such a great message. And that's what, when we talk about women's life stages here and we talk about female specific training, that's something that we preach all the time. So excited to have you really elevate that on your platform and bring that to our community because gosh, moms need it. Moms need moms. And I'm so excited for you. And I'm so excited for this community and all of the fun stuff that we have planned. But despite all of that, we're not here to talk about
No.
any of the prenatal stuff today. Although I'm sure, as two moms, we could sit here and talk about prenatal and postnatal training forever. But we are here to talk about our newest challenge that is coming to the community. So again, hello everyone, welcome. We're so excited that you're joining us for the kickoff of Coach Ash's Built for Performance program. And really, what we're going to do is talk about all things this program and how to make it work in your current training routine. And this program is about so much more than just training. It's about building strength and power and confidence that really carry over into every aspect of your life. But before we get into all things programming and the details and all of the nitty gritty, we of course have to have a little bit of fun. So Coach Ash, as
Yes.
you are getting ready to walk out onto the stage and you're getting ready to film, what is your ultimate hype song?
These are the questions that get me because I am a Pisces to the absolute core. So making a decision, even on just one song, is like, but I like these many songs. But I'm gonna go back to, and you'll love this. I'm gonna go back to my like group fit days. Like, what was that one song when like the lights went down and it was like time to train? And it just like kind of got me. I always go back to Crazy Train by Ozzy. Like it's just those first few bars of like donna 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 I. So like even now, like when I think about like if I were to step into this specifically this program, like when I think about this programming and like what it's all about, that song is like so if you guys ever or if you're in this challenge and you want to start the class and just like play a little song, play that song before you start this class. It might like really amp you up.
Oh, that one's a killer. I have to go back, and I don't know why this song has stuck with me for all of these years, but Christina Aguilera, Fighter. I'm
Yes.
telling you, 2002, Stripped came out, and that song just became my anthem anytime I was working out, and it is like my finisher
Yeah.
all the time. I can't, I have not found a song that does it for me like that song when it comes to like hyping me up. So
I love that.
we're building a pretty sick playlist right now. All
You know
right.
what? That gives me an idea. Maybe we'll have to do some like throwback playlists for the challenge and be like,
Oh,
if you want to listen to one today, this is it.
I do love a thematic playlist. So that is awesome. This is a great idea. Brainstorming coming to life. So, um, all of that fun aside, we are here to talk about Built for Performance and this program that you brought to life recently here on Tonal. And so obviously the title, Built for Performance, everybody thinks of something specific when they think of performance and when they hear that title. So from you and your perspective, when you hear the word performance, what are you thinking, and what's the first thing that comes to mind?
It's funny because I'm just replacing one word with another, but like my immediate thought is like I just kind of the first word that comes to mind is like a goal. And so whatever that goal might be, for me, it's like that last bit of like that last reach for that goal, if that makes sense, you know? So like performance is like how are we actually performing? Not necessarily how we're like building up to it, but like how are we doing this and going after those goals? So whether it's like a pace goal when you're running or when you're swimming, like a distance goal, or maybe a PR on tonal, like maybe you're lifting your lowest rep, heaviest resistance, or you're trying to jump really high. Like it's just always been about like for me, performance is like what's that goal that you're trying to get to? And like the training piece is like going to get you there, but then how do you actually perform? How do you go for it?
I love that. I think that's such a great way of reframing it and thinking about it that really just helps you figure out like what does it mean for you? Because
Yeah.
again, sometimes we hear the word performance and we think it's very specific, but it's really not. It's very individual. It's still a very individual term that can mean a variety of things to different people. I know for me, like, just performing daily life. And I've, again, as a ex professional dancer, former professional dancer to a mom, what level of performance looks different every day, but it's still performing, and it's still having a goal and being able to do that thing every day and just doing it and feeling good while you do it, right? I want to feel good when I lift up my kid. I don't want my back to hurt.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
feel good when I squat. I don't want, so all of those things, right? Awesome. So now that we've kind of had a moment to reflect on what performance really means to us, let's dive into what this program really is about and the key training principles, and how we're going to help members reach their goals when it comes to this. So the goal of the program, again, it's the in-season program, which we want people to be able to do this program while they're training, because I know that you have so many times mentioned to me how people come to you and say, Ash, I'm currently training. I'm doing this. How does everyday athlete, how does 4 week fast track, how does any of these programs that you've come out with fit with my current training? And sometimes it works great, and other seasons of life maybe we need something a little bit more specific. And so really that was kind of the goal of creating this program for you, is really making sure that you had something that you could speak to that will really help members during that season of life. So talk to us a little bit about that goal and kind of how you brought that to life in this program.
Yeah, listen, I think like everyone who's going to be joining in this challenge, like there's probably a lot of people that have trained with me for quite a long time on tonal. And then I'm hopefully, we're going to have a lot of new folks that are like, tell me more about the challenge. And they're maybe for the first time getting to really jump into one of my programs. And they haven't gotten to know me as a coach just yet. But I always live in this space of like meeting yourself wherever you are. And you and I have both been in this industry for a long time. And I think the one thing that we consistently see is that people want to consistently run in like zone 5. People consistently want the heaviest lifts, the biggest volumes, the most amount of training days that they could possibly have. But we truly understand the concept of sometimes less is far more in your training program. And also, there's a really big piece to a time and a season, right? And so that time and season could be an actual season. Like, are you in season? Are you in your intramural season where you're back playing soccer with your friends like once or twice a week? Is it marathon season for you? Is it tri training season? Is it new mom season? Like what season are you in? And I just always want to like challenge people to change the mindset they have around the workouts they're doing, obviously on tonal, but also how they're training off tonal as well. So I'm just a very big supporter of like, let's give you a little bit of everything. So if you go to my page and you go to like the programs I've done, you're not going to see advanced build muscle up and down like, that's just not who I am as a coach, because I want you to say, listen, I am in my get lean season, right? I am in this intermediate plus advanced training place, and like I want Ash to kick my butt, and I really want to focus on getting lean right now. Great. Everyday athletes got you. But if you are like, Ash, I want to run my first 5K, right? My niece is 12. She just started cross country. My brother just started running again, and he was doing a lot of like a lot of build muscle programs on tonal, and he was like, Ash, I'm trying to run and do
Yeah.
these like 4 day a week, really grueling programs. And he's like,
Tough to balance.
I'm breaking down. And I'm like, I know, not that I want you to break down, but I know it happens. And so when you and I sat down and really like brainchild, when you're like, what do you see with this program? I'm like, I would really love to have a program that is for I am in season. I want to commit, like, I know I can like really commit twice a week. Like, give me twice a week because if I'm running 3 or 4 times a week, if the kids are in intramurals and I just like time is not on my side, but I can do other things off tonal, like I want to support that as much as I can. So that's really where this came from. And it is like in season. So if you're doing a lot of cardio, right? If you're getting out, you're running, it's beautiful outside, it's fall, you have all these like really fun things that you're doing outside of tonal, and the volume might feel a bit too much. And you're also having those questions of like, okay, I'm doing all of these other things. What should I be doing on tonal?
Right.
That's a very big, question. And like, let's answer that. So that's what this program is all about. You can still train strength and do reps of 5 and a 4 in season. And like most people would be like, what do you mean? I just ran 20 miles. I shouldn't be lifting the heaviest deadlift. I'm like, actually, you can.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how to do it. And
Yeah.
that's really like, so it gets me excited. I think it's going to give like another tool in the toolbox of what do you want to do? What are you currently doing? And like what program works for you? And so, yeah, I'll start. We have so much to talk about. So I'll kind of.
No, I love that because, I think there's also this mindset that, if I only have 2 days to work out in a week, oh, that's not enough. I'm just not going to do anything. And, oh, I only have 30 minutes to work out. That's not worth it. I'm just not going to do it. When no, the complete opposite is true. Like if you're in a busy season of life because of whatever, and you only have 2 days, that's
Yeah.
still great. 2 days is absolutely better than no days whatsoever for so many different reasons. So again, there's so many ways that this program can be applied to, your circumstances, anybody's circumstances, and any season of life. And that's why I love it. And again, we call it built for performance. And yes, like it's certainly great for people who are in an athletic season of life, but there's so much carryover into any other season of life. So yes, let's break it down a little bit. So we have day one. We have a 2 day split, as we mentioned, it's 2 days a week, and the workouts are about 35-ish to 40 minutes long, never longer than 40, which is amazing. Again, something you can really sneak in your day. We know how efficient these workouts and I know these workouts, so we pack a lot in those 35, 40 minutes. And with the 2 days, we have one day that's focused on strength and one day that's focused on power. So talk to me about those two different days and how they differ.
So again, the concept was that minimum dose. And then you kind of hear that and you're like, what does that mean? Well, and I talk about this a lot. Like what's the like we're going to do less so that we can also do more. So if you think about the concept of, let's say you are running a lot. Let's say you're doing a lot of cardio off tonal. That's just the season you're in. You're playing pickleball, you're playing soccer, you're just doing a little bit more cardiovascular work, right? The two big things as both as athletes, but also just as humans that we want to make sure that we're continuing to have within our training is going to be strength and power. So we're going to break those up into 2 different days, and those are our 2 days. On day one, we're going to focus on your strength days. And I will say, sometimes you hear the word strength and you're like, okay, but aren't all workouts supposed to make us strong? And yes, but let's lean into like the true concept of strength, which is really how much weight you can lift for a certain amount of reps. And that's what we're talking about. Not how fast you're lifting it, not if you can jump after and do contrast sets. It's truly just like if I gave you a sumo deadlift, or if I gave you your bench press, or if I just your big compound movement, if you can do it for 6 reps and for 5 reps and for 4 reps. Again, we're not stepping into this endurance space because you might be living in endurance off tonal.
Right.
So let's make sure we train in a different space. So I'm a very visual person when it comes to training. I like to think of like having buckets within my training, right? You're going to have strength, you're going to have power, you're going to have endurance, and then you may have a few other ones like functional strength and, other things mix in. Hypertrophy is obviously a big one for us. So, So yeah, when we talk about that minimum dose, especially when it comes to our strength, that's really what it's going to be our sweet spot, right? And we're going to do just enough. And then I'm going to tell you to sit your butt on the bench. And you know how many of us get uncomfortable doing that? Right? How many times do you really get into strength work and the second you get done with your reps, you're like, okay, what should I be doing now? And the best thing you can do for your body is absolutely freaking nothing for 2 to 3 minutes. And then you get back in and you let your battery recharge for those 2 to 3 minutes. And then you go really hard again and you lift this really heavy, intense weight, and then you recover and you rest. And we're going to do just enough of that to help you, again, kind of like keep that strength bucket filled while you're maybe doing a lot of endurance on the other side of it.
I love that. And I love a strength day. I love a good rest period because it is when we're trying to build strength and we're trying to build up to that 5-4, RM, like we need to be able to rest and recover in order to actually get those reps completed. And, it is so great to work into those lower rep ranges. There's so many benefits for it, not just for athletic performance, which again, we want to make sure we're balancing those buckets to your point. But again, working those muscles in a way that is heavy load and intent builds bone density, builds strength, it builds resilience. And there's so much benefit to that outside of, performance. And so I love that we've brought that type of training into this program as well. So
for that day one, we're going to continue to do those like big compound lifts, but we're going to pair them with things like mobility and core work. So you'll always kind of on that first day of the week, you'll always see like that main block, our big lift that we're going to do. And then we'll kind of start to get into a bit like it's a complementary block that goes with that main lift. And then we'll have a bit of an accessory work block. So,
right. So definitely not the day where you're huffing and puffing and sweating. It's not a high intensity day. We're going to keep it, lower intensity from a cardiovascular load situation, but the loads themselves will be higher in intensity that way. Break it down. What's our second day all about?
So second day is all about power. And we love a good power day. Like talk about putting on crazy train and like lifting some weight. So again, when we think about like just what is strength, what is power? What is power? Power is super simple. It's how much weight you can lift and how fast you can lift it and how we can move it. And there's different ways you can do power. You can do just your body weight in power. Like how fast are you moving your body for a certain amount of time or reps? So we're going to do some of my favorite things to do when it's training power, and we're going to do contrast sets. That's going to be our like meat and potatoes of the day. And these are days where you are going to do lower reps, similar to strength, right? So think about we're doing these we're doing like 6 reps of things, but we're going to add chains. So we're going to overload that concentric phase. We're going to actually like make those muscles like get you out of a deadlift. You're getting into that extension, but you're doing it with all this really heavy weight. And then we're going to turn the weight off and without any rest, total opposite of strength, we're going to go into a big, powerful plyometric body weight movement that mimics what we just did with weight. So for instance, you'll see the sumo deadlift. We're going to take it straight into either, we're going to do broad jumps. I always like to say if it's a high jump for you, if it's a variation of that, that's fine. But it is this concept of like, can you keep that same intensity and I always like to say when we talk about, bringing in, we're essentially like recruiting more muscle to move things. Like I always think about minions, like just like this,
Get more.
I'm a visual person. I think about the minions being like, and you just did this deadlift and this sumo deadlift and you have an army of minions. And then I'm like, okay, I want you to go jump. And the minions are all lifting like they're about to pick up this sumo deadlift, but there's no resistance coming against them. And you explode into this big plyometric powerful broad jump, right? So it's just this like really fun intense style training, and it's completely different than your strength, and it should be wildly different than your, let's say, endurance or the performance that you're doing on the field. And let's be honest, strength is really important for us, right? We talk about that, but being like power, as we get older, we get a little more afraid to train power. And actually, power is probably the most important thing that we can train.
Absolutely.
So I really love being able to have like a true power day. So strength day, you should get done and you should actually have some left in the tank, right? We lifted pretty heavy, but you should get done on your strength days and be like, okay, I I feel kind of good, right? I'm not gassed. I might not be like super sweaty, like I just got done. But when you get done with power day, you're like, oh, like we took a lot of rest. I'm going to give you tons of rest in between these, but you're going to have just like a wow, I feel tired in a very different way.
Exactly. It's so funny because I'm also a visual person. I will now always think of minions during contrast sets, but I always think I had a Siberian Husky growing up, and one thing that she wasn't great at was being on a leash. Huskies just they love to run, but I always like when I think of contrast sets, I think of trying to hold that dog back on the leash, right? When we're doing that strength move and we've got chains, you're being pulled back. You're almost like trying to move through mud, like it's sticky, it's hard. And then that contrast set should feel like you took that dog off the leash and they just boom, right? They go into that body weight explosive move and they can literally accelerate without being held back by that leash. And so I love our visual brains thinking about how contrast sets come to life. But to your point, yes, power is one of the first things that starts to decline as we age because again, people start to get a little afraid to train with power. We start to lose, that kind of fast twitch muscle fibers. And it's so great to maintain that. There's so much resiliency in our joints and our ligaments that comes from power training. There's so much preservation of muscle mass through power training that just carries over so much, again, bone mineral density benefits from power training as well. So again, strength and power are two types of training buckets that we really shouldn't ignore. And so again, even if you're not an athlete, these are not ways that we're like, oh, well, I'm not an athlete. I don't need to train strength and I don't need to train power. Absolutely not. If this program shows you anything, it's that those two types of training approaches are really important for everybody in any season of life and can be applied in a way that makes sense and meets people where they're at that season.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, the idea of this program is like you do not have to do power 3 to 4 days a week, and you don't have to do strength all of these days of the week. We're just going to be in a place where you only have to do this once a week, right? Just so we don't, and I don't like operating from a place of fear. So if you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing. Sometimes I like it, but I don't like it because I don't want us to be fearful of losing our progress. But this program kind of gives us that safety net of, listen, if again, and I'll bring, it's hard to not bring it back to sport, right? Because that's kind of where this program came from. But if you think about running a marathon, you're not really doing your sprints, right? You're not really doing your power, your explosive movements. So the idea is continue to do what you want to do off tonal, continue to be whatever season you're in. This program is truly to give you that safety net of like you're still doing what you need to do to like keep to fine tune that other side of training, right? And it's just going to be there. It's just going to be there. We're just going to keep like oiling the joints a little bit, right? It's like having a battery on a trickle charger. You're getting like just enough so that when you need it, you're like, okay, I'm ready. And you haven't, let's say, like missed out on doing power strength in 8 weeks or 12 weeks, something like that.
Exactly. I love it. So speaking of, this is a 4-week program. So we've talked about our 2 days, and this does go for 4 weeks, which is great. Again, if you are leading up to events, you have something coming down the line. Again, New York Marathon's coming up, whatever you have on your calendar, this is great to do for that month, kind of leading up to it, as your other training might be slowly increasing or being at its kind of longest and heaviest. This is great for that right before peak season. So as we progress through the 4 weeks, talk to me about how the program will change week to week over those 4 weeks.
Yeah, let's keep it simple. Again, let's keep it visual. Week 1 is going to be our intro to those 2 days. So if you're someone whose strength is new to you, you're like, Ash, I've been living in a Get Lean program, or I've done, some hypertrophy training, and strength is kind of a different space. We're going to talk about it. We're really going to set the foundation. Same thing with power. When we get into week 2, we're going to keep everything the same. I'm a big fan of like, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. The best thing we can do in our training is repetition, because you see what you did, you set a benchmark, and then you kind of see yourself do it again. The only thing we're going to do is like slightly decrease. Let's say on our strength day, we're going to decrease some of like just one set, like not a bunch, just a teeny set. We're going to go from like 5 to 4. right? So just the smallest change so that you're getting that adaptation. And we're going to do the same thing with power. So there'll be very minimal changes. The only thing we were changing is just, let's say, the volume or the intensity that we're bringing. So that's week 1, week 2. Now in week 3, we're like, hey, like again, let's keep the big meat and potatoes the same, but let's just change the sides that are coming with dinner. And so we're going to give you some new accessory work. For instance, I know one of the days, like week 1 and 2, we did like the resisted deep lunge. You'll know it. We love you and I love that.
We do.
And then we're going to take that into a resisted step up. Right. So you're still working that same pattern, but we're just going to give you a different application. Right. Some of the core work is going to change. So just enough of some new accessory work that you're like, oh, this feels like a different workout. But again, that meat and potatoes were still exactly the same. And I guarantee you all you are going to want meat and potatoes for dinner tonight. And then our final.
I'm getting hungry thinking about this program right now.
I'm talking about food. And then our last and final week is going to be like just that final decrease, right? So then we're just going to say, okay, you did this in one of your sets. Now, can we keep that one set at that decrease, but let's just like maybe add one more. And again, it's just taking that tiny step forward rather than focusing on these big, intense leaps.
I'm laughing so much. I've taught a lot of training courses in my life, teaching programming to young students. And I've always used the analogy of building a meal when you're talking about building a workout. Like, what's your steak? Like you get one steak. We don't get 6 steaks. You get one steak. And what are your sides? Yes, you actually get appetizers. What's your warm up?
Yeah, it's a great way.
I'm like, I've always used the analogy of building a meal when we talk about programming workouts.
Visualization is like the best thing. When you're doing something that feels confusing, it's like, okay, let's make this something that we all know.
A little insight into how Ash and Jenna program is we are always thinking about food. I love it. So we talked about this program again, we've talked about how it works for people who maybe aren't athletes and aren't in that athletic season of life. We spent a lot of time talking about that, but let's talk about for the people that are, in that season of life. So how does this program support those in-season athletes and how can they fit it into that routine and that schedule that they have right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the first thing is, I'll bring it back to one of the first questions that sometimes we get in these programs is like, hey, Ash, I'm running. Where should I put my running versus my strength? Right. And my response will always be, what's the most important right now? And that's kind of the best way to think about this program is what is your sport right now? And so that's really, you have to answer that question. Is it tri training? Is it marathon training? Is it 5K training with your teenagers so that you can do the 5K or the turkey trot that's coming that we all want to do our turkey trot? You know what? Why don't we do that? Why don't we make this a turkey trot
prep program?
It's October to just train for our November 5K or something. So it's always good to like put that goal first. When you talked about performance and I said it was in my mind, it's a goal, right? So I take this as place that goal first and then kind of fill in these 2 days. And that's why it's 2 days a week. Fill in on the days that you know you can accomplish this strength and you have enough recovery and you will be fatigued. And we talk a lot about that in this program. We hone into like, how can we still operate from a place of fatigue? And that's where that minimum dose comes in. I don't know about you, right? Again, like, yes, I'm pregnant. I'm tired when I get done with things, but I still have to get stuff done. And we all operate from a place of being tired. So it's learning how to like use this program and fit it into what works best for you. So you guys will see that a lot on the schedule, right? We're only doing 2 program days a week. That gives you a lot of like, what do I do with the other days? And we'll talk more about the calendar later, but that's the biggest thing is like, make it work for you. If you have a day where you're like, it's a running day, I'm doing tempo in the morning, or I'm just doing a longer run, I know I can do strength that day, right? If you're doing some speed work, maybe don't do speed work and power in the same day because it's kind of the same idea. So it's just learning how to like pair this program. And that's really what it's about.
I absolutely love that. And so let's actually talk about that. With this challenge, we always, with our challenges, put out a calendar that helps people plot out their program days and also gives advice on things that they can do on the opposite days. So talk to us about the challenge calendars for this program and what people can expect to see and what's going to be maybe the optional things that are added in to help support them through this program.
So training is not a one size fits all. And we understand that more than anyone. But when it comes to the challenge group, it's like, okay, this is the program that we're doing, right? And we wanted to make it as accessible as possible. So if you are like, great, 2 days a week sounds fantastic. I'm going to say, here's a mobility class. You'll already know we're going to give you some mobility work to do on maybe those like days off or the days that you're doing something else. So we're going to have one calendar that is strictly going to focus on what this program was built for, which is like in-season training. So if you're someone who's like, I only want to do these 2 workouts a week, they're like, don't give me extra strength workouts. Don't give me extra HIIT workouts. Don't make me do all this extra stuff. Just give me 2 strength and give me like the mobility stuff that'll help me like release all the tension. We're going to have that calendar. But then we're also going to have the calendar for the other side of the OTC that's like, Ash, I really want to do this program, but like, I need to work out 5 days a week. I need you to give me something to do today, even if it's 10 minutes. What should I do? We're going to have that calendar too. So we're going to have our 2 program days. We're going to have a mobility day. And then there's going to be 2 other days that technically one's a rest day. And then we're going to have one that could be another like strength day. And here's how my brain worked was I was like, okay, on the mobility day, why don't I give you just some like very small accessory work? And we're going to use this as an opportunity to bring in ankle straps.
Yeah.
If you have your ankle straps, we are going to say, hey, here's the ankle straps class that you can do today. And I will say, if you do not have your ankle straps or you don't have them and you're like, but I still want to do something, we'll talk about that once we're in the program challenge, and I will always give options. The other day is going to be, shocker here, a core day. And so
Badass
it's perfect place to add in a little, like, it's not strength. You're not doing more deadlifts. You're not doing, a bunch of the things that we're doing in the program. Instead, you'll have a mix of like an off tonal straight abs, which are nasty. And you can pair those with a day you're running, a day you're cycling or swimming or whatever it might be. And then the next week, I'm going to be like, you know what, let's make that a non-tonal core day. And it's going to be a tush kicker, right? I do know that the very last class that we're going to do is an on-tonal ash whooping of an ab class. So almost think about it as like, it is kind of just maybe our finish line. I had to give a little bit of a finish line for this program. So we're going to have those 2 calendars. So you guys can kind of choose and you can fuse them if you want to mix them. But you guys know we're going to have the challenge group. I'll be in there every single day. And if you're like, this doesn't work for me, is there another one you have? Y'all know I can always like pop other stuff in there. So yeah.
I love it. And again, like we just wanted to show the versatility of this program and how it can work for so many different people during so many different phases of life. And so, kind of the first time that we're like, let's offer up 2 different options here. And people can choose their own adventure in this challenge group this time, with Ash's support in both, whatever path you choose, you'll be there to help them. So again, we've got one calendar for people who truly are in season. They need those extra training days built into the calendar. So they'll get your programmed strength and power days, they'll get their mobility workouts, and then they'll have space for recovery and their actual training that they're doing outside of their tonal workouts, which is amazing. That's again, who we were thinking of, when we decided to work on this program. So then we also have the people that, like, hey, maybe I'm not getting to peak season. Like maybe I'm still running, but I can do running and some core. I can do running and some ankle straps. Yeah. And so maybe there's still in a season of life or season of training that it's not so much of time and dedication into that sport right now. Or again, they're like, hey, I love 2 days a week, but I also just want like a little splash of core and a little splash of accessory work to keep my body, resilient and to work all of my accessory muscle groups and make sure that I've got this kind of holistic approach to training all the time. And again, a lot of those workouts, I saw the calendar, a lot of those workouts that you put on there as extra, short little sweet ones that you can fit in any time of the day, which is great to fit into a lot of people's lives and busy schedules during this time of the year. So I love that we have so many options, and we've always both preached this. We're like, we want people to make these challenges and these programs work for them. And so we're offering up a variety of different tools to help them do that. And yeah, I saw you add that last Ash whooping ab workout at the end, and I was like, oh, she's finishing with a bang. I remember that workout.
You know that workout.
I
Everyone's
remember
gonna
that
watch
one.
this and be like, "Oh God, what's the last workout?" It's easy.
I love that.
Yeah,
And
one thing I will say before we move forward, even talking about the program working for everybody, if you're someone who, let's say, you've been consistently focused on build muscle, right? You've done like a 12-week challenge, you've done Tanisha's recent program, you've done a lot of these, or maybe even like a big hit program. And you're like, I don't know, I never really do focus on strength or power. And I'm not used to doing 2 days, I'm used to doing 4 days. My challenge to you might also be like, try it. Your body might thrive on actually finding a slight decrease in your overall volume. And you might find that it was like the perfect reset, but still following a guided training program, right? So
uh,
I'll put it out there. Like if you're someone who's like on the fence, like try it out, see how you feel, like give yourself the week and you actually might be like, wow, I am more sore doing 2 days a week
yeah.
and more like fatigued randomly than what I have been doing 4 days a week.
Well,
So
we talk about that a lot too when, we talk about accumulation style programs and intensification style programs, and how it is important to train both styles, because if you're only ever doing one style all the time, your body is going to plateau in there. And so you have to kind of give your nervous system and your muscles time to reset. And in order to do that, doesn't mean you have to stop. It doesn't mean you have to completely deload. It just means that you need a shift in focus. And so you can go over here and you can focus on strength and power a couple of times a week. And I guarantee you, if you go back to your normal type of training after this, you're going to see huge improvements in your performance there, because you've rested that type of training, and you've rested those energy systems, and your body will thank you for it by showing you some increases in performance. So again, so many different ways that this program can be applied to everybody's training, long-term plans and really benefit them. So
yeah.
I love it. Okay. So we've talked about so many incredible things, how this works for people, whether they're in season, out of season, whatever season of life that they're in. But what kind of things can people expect to see in terms of their benefits? Like if I'm laying out these goals for myself and I'm talking about measurable performance goals, what kind of goals could I set for myself, or what kind of goals do I think maybe I could see improvement in after doing this program?
Yeah. And I think we can look at this from two different standpoints. You can look at it from a performance standpoint, from athletic standpoint. So Ash, I want my splits to be faster, right? I want to decrease my like how fast I'm running my first and my last mile, or I just want to increase my overall running volume, right? Those kinds of things. Sometimes, again, in order to get better at one thing, we may have to like scale back on another. And you might see that. You might say, hey, decreasing my overall volume load on tonal has actually allowed me to increase my performance in my runs. My splits have changed. You may from again, that was like the athletic side. On the other side, just as, like our everyday athletes, right? The ones that are just like, I'm just trying to live a healthier lifestyle, right? You may find that like all of a sudden, just adding a little bit more mobility is you've decreased tension in certain parts of your body. Um, and yeah, I think those are going to be the big things, is really just, I actually will challenge everyone else to say, hey, like, maybe ask yourself a little self-assessment every week. Like, how does this program make me feel different? Or what do I see I'm getting out of it differently than something I've done before?
I kind of love it. It's like a little mini challenge within a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, can I see improvement in my sleep, in my mobility, in my tension, in my splits, in my runs, because I am training with this focus and intent, in this program. So I love a good challenge within a challenge. So I love it, Ash. Well, thank you so much, for joining me today and talking about all things built for performance. And we're so excited for everybody to partake in this challenge with you and see how they show up for themselves in this community over the next several weeks. So, Coach Ash, any last words of wisdom that you want to impart on this community before we close it out today?
I think the biggest thing is, step outside of your comfort zone if that's getting involved in a challenge and you're not someone who ever posts in the OTC and you're like, I don't know, maybe this will be fun. Getting into a smaller group sometimes can really open up the tonal community for you. So you'll get to know a lot of our regulars. That could be something really fun. Yeah, it's again, step outside of that comfort zone, change your training up a little bit and see how maybe you thrive in a different area. And another thing would be like, come with questions. This is the one opportunity that like for us as coaches, that we get to connect with you guys on a smaller scale, which is really like, it makes all of us so happy, like to wake up and get into the challenge group every morning, see the selfies, see the questions. And if you know anything about me, or maybe you don't, like my favorite thing is like someone drops a video of like, Ash, here's my squat. Can we talk about it? Like, am I doing this right? Or, hey, this movement doesn't work for me. How can we modify? This is the one opportunity that I'm like, yes, like I get to drop you a video and be like, this is great. Here's something like we can all fix. And I love community challenges because it's a chance to like connect with you. It's a chance for us all to learn. And so maybe that's part of the getting uncomfortable thing. So come with questions, come with like an open mind and, get to know some of the community. That's really what it's about.
I love all of that. And we're so excited to see everybody in this program and crush these workouts. And so if I've learned anything today from chatting with you about this, it's that really performance is personal. It's not just about what numbers we're putting up on Tonal. It's about habits. It's about stepping outside your comfort zone. It's about a mindset and the confidence that comes from all of that, which will help you perform in every part of your life. So Ash, thank you so much for joining and talking all things built for performance with me today. As always, we're excited to see everyone in the community crush this program, and we will see you on the next one.